We're live on our website.
Councilman Alexander, will you pray for us?
Always, yes.
Thankfully.
Stand by for Facebook Live. Thank you, Larry.
Say an extra one for Sean too, John, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I need it, Bravo.
An extra one.
Looks like we're having the same problem we had once before with Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
There they go again.
Oh no, you're trying to hide stuff.
Oh, I know.
No, I assure you, we will try again really quickly.
Because we don't have the oatmeal raisin cookies.
What's it doing?
When I connect to Facebook, it just shows the circle and the lines, like it's thinking, but it won't connect. And they're exact same settings we've done in the past. Let me try one more time.
Knowledge is at its best.
Lori, my microphone has, my sound has gone off and on 3 or 4 times.
That's better than
I've heard you
5.
the whole night.
I'm not sure what else, what other setting it is. And we might have to do some testing, like offline with a test. Let me know when you have some time available. I'm sorry.
All right. Sorry it went out again while you were talking, but I got there.
Okay, sorry. Is it your microphone or your speakers?
It's, well, I have to change under select a microphone, but I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
It happens, but I can't hear you all.
Jeff, should I bring you my phone to see if maybe it would work through that, or are you trying to do it through the computer, or?
All right, we're streaming live.
No, it's working now.
We're on Facebook, aren't we?
Yes, we're live on all channels, ready to go.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Give me a minute. I'm sharing it. All right. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Let's call to order this meeting for May 19th, 2020 of the Gallatin City Council. We are going to begin this meeting like we do every meeting with the invocation, however, not with the Pledge of Allegiance, because we're not where we can all stand and salute the flag. So Councilman Alexander is going to offer our invocation this evening.
Yes, let us pray. Eternal gracious God, once again, we come with thanksgiving in our heart. We thank you, dear Lord, for this beautiful day that has created. We thank you for the city of Gallatin. And we pray, oh God, for all those who are sick and bereaved and dealing with the coronavirus. And I just pray, oh God, for all of our frontline people who are trying to take care of everybody, our police, our nurses, our doctors, firefighters, and everybody. And Lord, we pray that thou will be in the midst of this meeting. Let everything we say and do be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we do pray. And every heart said, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Alexander. Ms. Kittrell, if you would call for the roll for us this evening, please.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Present.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Mr. Fan.
Here.
Mr. Fennell.
Here.
Mr. Hayes.
Present.
Ms. Love.
Here.
And Mr. Overton.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kittrell. Right now, I'm going to read the notice and allow you guys to consider voting or ask you guys to consider voting on this. It says, pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 and number 34, and the need to limit community spread of COVID-19, the May 19th, 2020 Gallatin City Council meeting will be held by electronic means. The meeting will be live streamed to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the council and citizens of Gallatin. For everyone's information, you can see on the screen where you may join the Zoom meeting, that link, the number you may call into, and the webinar ID. I would also advise everyone that you can, if we are streaming live on Facebook at this point, if some connection that you're using may be lost, we are on Facebook, Comcast Cable Channel 19, and on our website at gallatintn.gov. So there are a lot of options to watch this meeting. With that, I would ask if someone would like to make a motion that we do conduct this meeting electronically.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Councilman Fennell, a second by Councilman Overton. And with that, Ms. Kittrell, I'll ask you to call the roll for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp, Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Here.
and Councilman Overton.
Present. Yes. Yes.
Mayor, we have 7 yeses, 0 nays.
Thank you, Ms. Kittrell. So we are approved to conduct this meeting electronically. The next item is the approval of minutes, and we have minutes from the April 7th, 2020 meeting and the May 5th, 2020 meeting.
Motion to approve both by Councilman Overton.
Second by Councilman Alexander.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections or additions? Seeing none, I will ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll and take a vote on the approval of both sets of minutes.
Vice Mayor Camp, Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you. The minutes are approved. We now move to public recognition on agenda-related items. This is the time of the meeting when anyone in the public can comment on any item that is on this evening's agenda. There's also a time at the end of the meeting where people may comment on items that are not on the agenda. So if you have a comment that you'd like to make, now would be your time to do so. Mr. Henschel will go through those who are on the phone and those who are as attendees on this meeting and see if anyone would like to comment. We ask that you give your name and your address and you limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Okay, we have negative, and you'll have to unmute your own mic, but you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, Pascal Gervans, 1335 Longodo Park. Yeah, I embrace you. Yeah, I'm gonna make it my middle name Negative. That's how you're calling me right now. So I think it's great. You went from we can understanding to the not from here to negative. So I don't know what you're gonna find next, but I'll let you figure it out. Just a quick comment on Ulok. Again, James did a great speech. It's a great salesman speech, but again, why don't we have all the numbers before us, available to us? Something already hit me is I've been coming to this meeting for 2.5 years now, and a person who doesn't have a lot of word is a Vice Mayor Camp. I think I heard him comment maybe a handful times on 2.5 years. So when he's actually saying something, I'm listening, and his words, I paraphrase, were that we don't get a lot for what we're giving them, and to look at Nashville. It would be nice to look at Nashville because Nashville is going under just because of this pilot, in part of this pilot's program. And if I take the words from James, even James say word I think were that's not bad of a deal. So again, if it's such a great deal, why you don't provide us with numbers? And a project from that as big as that, numbers should be for the next 20 years, year by year, and not giving us something we say, hey, when it's done, that's going to bring us that. without mentioning anything was linked to that, what we're giving them, what we're gonna have to build, like the fire station to protect them and all these numbers. So that would be great if you guys could do that. If it's great for the city, just show us it's great and everybody is gonna be happy. And Michelle would like to say a word too, so if you're okay to restart the clock, she's right there.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just had a couple of comments I wanted to make about the budget, about two items actually on the agenda. One was the budget and the other thing was the tax rate. And I was wondering why we're voting today on passing the budget before we actually know what the final tax rate revenue is going to be, which we're voting on next week, or not next week, but next time. It kind of seems backwards to me. So I was wondering why we don't just wait until we are voting on the tax rate, because then we know how much revenue we have and then vote on the budget, instead of having to actually raise the taxes if we've already voted on the budget and don't have the revenue. And then just to kind of ask again the same things that I said last week about us having to cut so many things because of the pandemic budget. And I don't like the idea of having to cut the charities, the contributions that we do to our charities. I think that the nonprofits are really going to have a struggle this year, and I don't think that that is something that we should cut. I think that we should cut other things and leave that fully funded. I think that there are some unnecessary things in the budget that we could cut back on, like the fireworks, $28,900 for fireworks. You know, we could cut that and put the money, some of that money back to the nonprofits, and the $50,000 for the Fire in the Water Festival, which is likely to not happen because of COVID-19 this year. And if we could just take that money and use that for making sure that all of the nonprofits are fully funded. And then also, if you could just again think about the roads, like I had mentioned, that I believe that road maintenance is one of the most important services that a city provides, and that we've cut it so deeply, and a lot of that is being looked at as now being a bond, which will actually cause us to have more debt service, which will be something that will not be good for us, because that will probably cause our taxes to go up again if we're having more debt service that we're adding because of the roads. So those are some of the issues that I'm concerned about and would like to see discussed. Thank you. That's all for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to the phone number that ends in 435. Do you have something you'd like to say?
Is this on?
Go ahead.
No, is it something I'm supposed to, you mean comment as far as
an agenda-related item?
Items? No, mine is non-related.
Okay. At the end of the meeting, there is a comment period for non-agenda related items.
Good,
thank you.
It is. Yeah, thank you.
Phone number ending in 718. Go ahead. Okay, phone number ending in 512. Your mic is open. Okay, I have a 250 Acer. All right, Andy Leith.
only here for the projects that I have on the agenda. If y'all need me.
Very good. Bo Campbell. Okay. Charles Bone. Okay. E.K. Stevens. Okay. Rosemary Bates has raised her hand. Go ahead, Rosemary. Okay. And SLS Spring OB. And finally, the WTVF newsroom. I assume you have nothing to say, but I will open your mic, give you the opportunity. Okay, that's everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Henschel. That will conclude public comment for this evening. We will now move to mayor's comments. And the only thing that I really have to share this evening is that we are going to extend the state of emergency for one more week, mainly for the purpose of continuing to not issue permits for door-to-door solicitations and to keep our utility cutoffs from happening. We feel like maybe in another week, most people will be back at work and will be able to end the state of emergency. So that's where we are. And that's really my only announcement of the week. With that, I'll move to the regular agenda. And the first item on this evening's agenda is item number 1, which is second reading on the ordinance 02004-15. And for that, Vice Mayor Camp is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning approximately 0.73 plus or minus acre parcel from A agricultural residential zoning district to R15 medium density residential zoning district located east of Highway 109 and south of Oldham Boone Road. Authorize revisions to be indicated on official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for servability, and providing for a effective date. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Camp, a second by Councilman Overton, opening the floor for discussion.
Did we add those restrictions about the sewer that we discussed?
Mr. McCord, are you on the meeting?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
I see you. I'm sorry.
The ordinance is provided in it. With a master plan, we have conditions of approval, and they are usually tied to a master development plan. We don't attach conditions of approval to a standard zoning, so they're entitled to have the zoning that is assigned to them. Otherwise, every ordinance is subject to being added to with special conditions, and those are reserved for those master plans. So we don't have a condition for any requirement for sewer or connection for sewer.
Did we not discuss that the last 2 times that we brought this up?
I think there was some discussion. There was no direction to add anything to an ordinance.
Linda, I think we talked about it's going to cost them $1 million or more to put it in there. So, you know, if they can spend $1 million on those two lots, then, you know, whoever can do that. But, you know, they're not going to spend that kind of money on those 2 lots. So.
That was my only question.
Anyone else? No one indicating they wish to speak. I will ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll for the vote, please. This is second reading on ordinance 02004-15.
Vice Mayor Camp.
No.
Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor passes with 6 yeses, 1 no.
Thank you. Second reading on ordinance 02004-15 is approved. Item 2 is second reading on ordinance 02005-17, and Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is order to provide revenue for the city of Gallatin, Tennessee for municipal purpose for the 2020 tax year and the 2021 fiscal year, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Alexander, a second by Councilman Overton. I do want to say I was wrong in something I said either at the last meeting or the next meeting about us getting the certified tax rate. The certified tax rate actually stays the same for the full, the several years between the reappraisals. So our tax rate at this point would be the 0.8001 unless this council were inclined to change that. I mentioned to you a few weeks ago the situation with the vast number of appeals and the amount of money that the city has lost through appeals that had the properties been valued appropriately, we would have had a different tax rate. But because they were overvalued and they got their appeals granted, we still have quite a few outstanding, so we don't know what the outcome's going to be. It's probably, I think it's around 250,000 so far. And I think there's another 350,000 potential impact that is outstanding. So that is significant. The other thing that I do want to share with you all, not inclined to do anything with the budget tonight or even to discuss. I do just want you to be aware. Ms. Nichols is working on it, but she actually received a letter today from the property assessor's office that they are actually going to start charging us double what we pay for their services. So we've been paying around $80,000, and they say that in this budget year we're going to start paying them $160,000. And obviously we had no clue that that was coming. So there may be later in the year where we would have to budget more money for that. But I think that there's more discussion that needs to be had between the mayors in the county and Mr. Isbell and the county about, where this came from and how it's okay all of a sudden to put this burden on cities with absolutely no, as we're about to pass our budget tonight. So just want you to be aware of that. Of course, and just for the public's information, our tax rate goes through 3 readings and our budget goes through 2 readings. So are there any questions or any discussion after I've said that bit?
That is a shocking increase.
Oh yeah, it was. We were surprised. All right, with that, we have a motion, a second, and I would ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll and take the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Camp. Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Okay, second reading on ordinance 02005-17 is approved. Item 3 is second reading on ordinance 02005-18. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance appropriating funds in the amount of $5,000 for Rosemont. And this is just money that we've already got. We're moving it over, and I so move.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Overton. I think this first second I heard was by Councilman Alexander. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. With that, is there any discussion? Okay, this is second reading on ordinance 02005-18, and I'll ask Ms. Kittrell to call the roll.
Vice Mayor Camp.
I disclose that I sit on this board and I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
I'll disclose that I sit on that board as well, but I'm going to vote yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, we have 6 yeses, 1 abstention, and no zeros.
All right, then is approved. Item number 4 is second reading on ordinance 02005-19. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is a second reading on ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Councilwoman Love. Opening the floor for the discussion, and if it's okay with you all, I will address some of the questions that were asked last week and this week, because want to provide that information. The charitable contributions this year, we actually have requests of $356,130. We always have far more requests than we grant. We use the allocations committee. Some organizations may ask for a very large sum, and the committee may feel that that's not appropriate, that they want to grant them this amount. And so this is just based on the requests that they make. This council may recall that several years ago, we just kind of gave the same amount to certain nonprofits every year. And we made the change to open it up to all eligible nonprofits in Gallatin. They do a grant request, the allocations committee hears the request, and then they make the decision to allocate funds to these various nonprofits as they see fit. I have generally set a dollar amount for us to allocate, usually based on the previous year's budget. Last year, we budgeted, I think it was 200, I lost my notes. Last year, I think it was 262,800. And this year I reduced that number down to 236,000, which is a 10.2% cut. And I based that number on the cuts that we had made in so many areas of the city. So recall, I asked the department heads to cut their budgets by 10%. Some could, some could not. But when you go through every line item in a budget and cut almost every department's office supplies and travel and tires and fuel, I felt like it was only right to make a cut to our what we call community enrichment grants program as well. I think every nonprofit is probably tightening their belt and realizing that they are also going to be hit, not just from donations from entities like our city, but also from their donations. And as you know, I ran a nonprofit for several years, and we certainly had plans for when these kinds of situations hit, and they do hit. And hopefully all of our nonprofits are well prepared and they will survive and thrive. I think we have a very generous community. I think what the city contributes helps them, but I don't think that they depend on the city. And if they do depend on this city for their funding, then I think they probably need to think about how they are funding themselves and diversify that to some degree. Another question was about the fireworks. That is a contractual obligation. We typically pay one half before the end of one budget year, and then the second half in the beginning of the next budget year, and so forth. But that's a contractual obligation, and we do have to pay that. That's not negotiable. Fire on the Water is not in the budget. We're not doing it this year. And then as far as the roads go, we always have a surplus of requests related to roads. Many of those roads typically end up being funded by bond issuance. We've been talking about issuing another bond for several years. We've not done that yet. Of course, one of the items that was mentioned, or one of the items that may be of interest, was actually Smith Street, and realize that's part of the county's courthouse project. And that's part of $3 million that we've committed on that parking garage. And the plan on that has always been as a bond issuance. As far as maintenance goes, we have $900,000 in that line item. Until last year, I think we always had it at about $850. This year they requested $950. Mr. Tuttle worked with me on the numbers as to where we thought we could continue to do some improvements within the funding that we thought we could provide to the city. But just because some of these projects are off the table does not mean that they're not going to get done. They're just not right now in this year's budget. And some would have been part of debt issuance, and some would hopefully be paid in our budget. But right now in the lean budget that we're in, we did cut a lot. But we do typically cut a lot from roads, because guess what? They're the most expensive things that we build in our city. So that's kind of the answers to the questions that were asked by the citizens, but I'd love to answer any questions for this council as well.
Mayor, you've done a great job with the budget this year, and I appreciate all the hard work. I know it wasn't easy, but
Well, I
we got a
appreciate
good budget, our city's still in good shape, and we're going to be fine.
Well, I appreciate our department heads, and I actually had a lady in Kroger tell me today that she appreciated our budget. And I said, look, I appreciate our department heads, and I appreciate all the people that came before me, because Gallatin is in a good shape, and it is in good shape. And that's because you all always been conservative, and the folks before me were, and we've saved money, and you know, fortunately, we have a rainy day fund that we're not touching with this budget. And we are using reserve funds, but I think that when you look at Gallatin's future, ours is certainly going to be brighter than a lot of other cities. We're about to consider a very big boost to our local economy, and I think that we will recover well. We, for so many years, have wanted more retail in our community, and we don't have that much. And so we're not going to take the tremendous hit that a lot of cities who are very dependent on that retail revenue will take. That actually just triggered another thought in my head that I should address, which was the question about how do we, why are we passing a budget before we know how much revenue will be generated by the tax rate? The tax rate and the revenue it generates is actually an estimate, because we don't know how many properties are going to appeal. We don't know what new properties are actually going to get on this year's tax roll. So we have to make an educated guess as to what's actually going to be counting as part of our revenue for this coming year. So that was the answer to the question, actually more related to the tax rate, but I thought I'd throw it in too. What else does anyone have?
Those were
I
good
echo
answers.
it. Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say those are good answers to all those questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to echo what Councilman Overton said, and also that, I feel good that we take care of our employees and our department heads. I think that's one of our most valuable assets we've got in the city of Gallatin.
Well, I think one of the hardest things for me in this year's budget was we really felt like we were going to be able to do a full cost of living increase at 2.5%, which we've never done since I was here. We felt like we needed to do it to become more competitive, because we were very challenged in a lot of departments as far as attracting people to our city. And in talking to some compensation experts and conducting a couple of smaller scale studies, we felt like that COLA increase would actually make us real on par with our market. And of course, then COVID hit, and our market has just, who knows what competitive is going to look like. So I'm thankful that we're, with this budget, able to retain all of our employees, to continue to do the step increases, and to look forward to brighter days ahead, which I'm confident we will have. Anyone else? All right, with that, we will vote on second reading on ordinance 02005-19 with a roll call vote that Ms. Kittrell will conduct.
Vice Mayor Camp,
I'd like to disclose that I sit on some boards that get money for this budget, and I vote yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Unmute your mic, Craig.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes, I'll make the comment that I sit on some nonprofits as well, but I vote yes on the budget. Thank you for the great budget.
Well, and thank you all for approving it. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge your participation in the budget hearing process, and the suggestions and the ideas that you all brought to me. So thank you for your participation in that. I think we have a really good system for getting our budget rolling each year, and it has worked now. I think we've done it 3 years this way. Yeah, and so I'm really pleased with how we're doing it. And so
Mayor Brown, when are we going to do the panel for the nonprofits?
I don't know. We need to get it set up.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we have the budget approved. We have the dollar amount approved. And I know the nonprofits are going to be anxious to know, because it will affect their budget. A lot of them are not on the same fiscal year that we are, but I still would like to get them done for get that done for them. We could
probably do it upstairs and have social distancing as well. So
we could. I was thinking about doing it virtually, and actually breaking it into a couple of few-hour sessions.
Either
But
way,
we need to touch base with some of our citizen
Committee.
volunteers to see how they feel or what their preference might be, and probably
Okay.
follow their lead.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. We need to get that rolling. You're right. Thank you. Item 5 is first reading on ordinance 02005-20. Councilman Fan is recognized.
This is an ordinance appropriating $129,600 received from the state of Tennessee for training supplements. I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fan, a second by Councilwoman Love. Is there any discussion?
I have one question.
Okay.
I noticed these monies are going to the police department and the fire department. Is that something that the state's mandates that they go to those departments, or is it just decided that we need them there?
No. It is a training supplement specific for those public safety positions. And so the individuals actually receive that pay for certain training that they complete. And I don't know if Chief Bandy or Chief Williams would like to weigh in on that.
I will just say a couple words. What it is, Mr. Fan, it's for our personnel meeting the requirements. So the state has a 40-hour training requirement, and they identify specific training requirements. And for all of the personnel that meet those requirements, they get that supplemental training funds that come from the state. So that's what those funds are for.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Don Bandy Police. What Chief Williams said, we're mandated by the state to do 40 hours a year, and there's certain topics we have to cover every year to keep our certification. So that's what that's for.
Do we request those funds, or are they just divvied out by the state? Do they decide how much we get?
Yes, the state decides that. They make that decision. Actually, they increased it this year for the first time in a number of years. We were very happy.
Thanks.
Since that's being said, I know that I've brought it up for 3 years now about the training facility as far as qualifying for the pistols. Are you still having a hard time with that, Don? Finding time with the county to be able to do your qualifying?
Yes, sir. We still have some bumps in the road with that. We've been using a local indoor range, which we have to pay, I think, quarterly rent there to use that. But that allows us to, because we're mandated to do 40 hours a year, but I don't feel like that's enough firearms training. I feel like we need to be proficient, and we try to go quarterly and do our training, and we're able to do some low light situations and different scenarios, which I think is very important. In this day and age, to make sure we're obviously doing what the state requires us to do, but go a little extra. So it gets pretty tough on trying to find outdoor ranges. Our SWAT team, I think, had to use Portland's range last week. So,
well, hopefully we can get our economy cranked back up, and we might be able to pursue that lead here in the near future.
Mayor Brown, that'll still be in a bond issue once we do the bond issue, correct?
We'll see. I think there are going to be a lot of asks for that bond issuance, but I think once we get a good glimpse of our recovery, we'll see what we would be comfortable, taking on debt wise, and what we might be able to include in that.
Thank you.
No, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion, a second, and this is first reading on ordinance 02005-20. And Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you so much. First reading on ordinance 02005-20 is approved. We'll move to first reading on ordinance 02005-21, and Councilman Fennell is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance waiving tap fees on behalf of Habitat for Humanity, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fennell, a second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02005-21. Ms. Kittrell will call the roll.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you. Ordinance 02005-21 will move forward to second reading. Item number 7 is first reading on ordinance 02005-22. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance, City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning 0.67 acre lot from R40 low density residential district to MRO multiple residential office district with a preliminary master development plan for the Montgomery office located south of Nashville Pike and east of Lakeshore Drive, authorizing the revisions to be indicated on official zoning atlas, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Overton. There's a second by Councilman Alexander. Opening the floor for discussion. Okay, I see no one indicating that they wish to discuss. So we will vote on first reading on 02005-22. Ms. Kittrell, if you would call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you. First reading on ordinance 02005-22 is approved. Item number 8 is resolution number R2005-24. Councilman Alexander is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution to approve payment of lieu of taxes program economic development incentive for Project Warhawk. And I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Alexander, a second by Councilman Overton. Opening for discussion.
I have a question for Mr. Fenton.
Okay.
So, James, we've already made plans to put a fire station in that area. So is there any reason that this company will give a need for an excessive need for more fire protection than what we can offer to them at this time?
James, I think you may be muted.
We can't hear him.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now we can.
Okay, super. So actually 2 years ago in a conversation with Project Woolhawk, I indicated to them that it would be a fire hall with police presence less than a mile from their facility, and they were appreciative, but they also said that they have never had a call for either one of those services at any of their facilities. As you know, a facility of this type will have the most sophisticated fire suppression system that exists because of the investment and the need for it to be operational continually. Additionally, they have very tight security. And so police and fire calls are not something that needs to be put onto our community's onus. However, we do need to keep under consideration of medical emergencies. And with that, we're really fortunate that the EMS station is right outside the entrance to the industrial center on Airport Road. So we are really well covered in that respect.
That's good to know. Thank you, James.
Yes.
Who else has a question or would like to discuss? All right, seeing no one, we will vote. This is resolution R2005-24. And Ms. Kittrell will call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Camp,
Aye.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
Yes.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Love,
Yes.
and Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you. Item resolution R2005-24 is unanimously approved. Item 9 is resolution R2005-25 and Vice Mayor Camp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution to approve lease agreement and regulation City of DC Lisa at Gallatin Chamber of Commerce at the Farmers Market on West Franklin Street. So moved.
Second.
The motion to approve by Vice Mayor Camp, a second by Councilwoman Love. Is there any discussion?
I'm just kind of curious as how that business is doing right now. How are they holding up?
Well, I mean, I think the chamber has done a great job with it. Personally, I still wish that they were there, that they were having the market more than one day a week. But I've been over there twice since they opened the season, and they had quite a number of really good vendors, and there were a lot of people coming and going shopping. Last year, I attended a bunch, and it was always great selection of products and good attendance by our community. So I would
They
love
said it's the best 2 days they've had, the best 2 opening days they've ever had.
Oh, wow.
I hope they will start opening 2 days a week once the vegetables start coming in.
They was open on Saturdays, the first 2 Saturdays.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to be open on Saturdays and Wednesdays, didn't they?
Yeah. I was asked why they don't pay us to lease it. And I said, I think if we ask them for payment, they might say, we don't want to do this. We're doing it for the city.
You're correct. You're correct, Mayor.
I know. A couple of years ago, we actually asked them if they would be willing to do this because we thought they'd do a great job with it, and they have. So we're very grateful for the work. Those ladies are down there bright and early on those Saturday mornings doing Facebook Live and showing our community what's for sale each day and doing things to market the market. All right, ready to vote? This is resolution R2005-25. Ms. Kittrell.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Aye.
Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yeah.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes, I like to state I serve on that board, but I'm voting yes.
All right. Mayor, it's unanimous.
All right. Resolution R2005-25 passes. Item 10 is resolution R2005-27. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a development agreement with Wool Hawk LLC. I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Love, a second by Councilman Overton. Opening for discussion. Anyone with questions? This is development agreement that James and myself and the various involved departments have had a lot of discussion about. So
Good job with the agreement.
Yep. Feel like I read so much on it that I'm ready for it.
All right. With that, we will vote on resolution R2005-27. Ms. Kittrell.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Aye.
Councilman Alexander.
Yes.
Councilman Fan.
Yes.
Councilman Fennell.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Love.
Yes.
Councilman Overton.
Yes.
Mayor, it's unanimous.
Thank you. Resolution R2005-27 is approved. That does conclude the regular agenda and brings us now to other business. So I would ask if there's anyone on this council that has other business to bring forward this evening.
Yes, Mayor. I'm just concerned about Gray Street. How they coming along on that project, and do they have a deadline?
Mr.
I
Wilkinson?
guess Mr. Tuttle, I reckon.
There's Mr. Wilkinson popping in.
Was that? Okay.
Yes, right now we're working on getting the drainage infrastructure in. We've got the southern side of it done, but working on getting the drainage infrastructure in, and then we'll be moving on to put the curb on the northern side, and then after that we'll be paving. But I would expect it'll be another couple months before we're ready for final paving.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Zach, while you're there, is the railroad still coming?
I'm not putting my name on it for sure, but I did talk to them last week, and they actually came by here and looked at the panels that we purchased close to 2 years ago for this project. And they're saying 1st of June.
Great.
we're hoping.
No, I'd like to bring up that I did say something to Don Bandy about a couple of pieces of property on Gallatin Road that was not mowed. And I appreciate him sending some letters out. That's, to me, that's very important, is keeping this grass up and down Gallatin Road and everything clean and neat.
Yes, this is a very busy time of year for Officer Jackson, right, Chief?
I've got something. Craig brought this up last year, and I was noticing the other day it's pretty ragged. Over in front of Kroger's, where the you get off the bypass, the trees there don't seem to be doing very well, and the landscaping in general doesn't look very good. It's kind of an entrance to the city for people that come off and get off on National Park.
We've had some discussions about that. I think part of the problem is that there's no irrigation there. And those trees were actually planted as a remedy for, I can't even call what development it was, but it was actually a remedy to,
It was a realty company, Crylike.
okay, thank you, Ms. Hayes. And so they had to plant these trees there, but there was no irrigation and they just didn't survive. And
but you can
survive, and they're just real.
Put them drip bags in there.
Yeah, they're tree bags. You can put tree bags on them and keep them watered for a while until they get big enough.
well, I don't know when this agreement was with Crylike, and I don't know what the request of them was, and I don't know what their responsibility was. I don't know.
Well, they wasn't. It was just for them because about 2 doors down from where my office is, they cut down all the trees. So we went in there and made them donate money for us to plant trees, and that's one of the places we decided we were going to plant the trees.
Oh, so we actually, the city of Gallatin actually did the planning.
Well, I think they still had to pay for it, but we were responsible for the maintenance.
Okay.
But it's like Steve said, we've been talking about this for a couple of years. That is a nice entrance to our city, but it just looks ragged.
It does. I agree.
I mean, you know, and you go and look at some of these other cities, and you know, they've got a nice landscape, and you know, it's kind of like our medians and stuff like that. I mean, we need to start taking better care of those too.
Well, I think they've been working on it. Mr. Wilkinson, you want to jump in with anything? And I think you know, Mr. Brown has too, as far as trying to do. And some look good, but I think some are harder to maintain. And unfortunately, they're trying to maintain landscaping and keep mowed while they're also trying to pick up a ton of trash and deal with all the bollards being knocked down and all the things that come along with not having staff.
A big piece of it is a lot of that stuff, majority of it is TDOT right away. Now we can work out agreements to do maintenance on their right of ways, and we do some maintenance within the right of ways already, but it's just a time and money issue. We got to prioritize which areas do we stop taking care of Browns Lane or Southwestland if we take on some of those additional gateways and medians. So
I think it's important. I mean, if there's some trees still over there alive, we see if we got some drip bags that we could put on them, try to get them through it like Craig I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we can purchase some stuff and see if we can. I mean, those trees have been there several years, but I mean, we can try that. There's not many of them left. I know we've had a few get hit by TDOT mowers in years past that we've pulled out, but I mean, it's something we can try.
What if we looked at some perennials that maybe just flowers that would come back every year that didn't require a lot of maintenance?
Something that might tie into this conversation, Leadership Gallatin, which has been put on by the chamber, they're actually one of the things that the different members of that were challenged to do was to put together ideas for different ways to make the entryways into Gallatin a little more attractive. And many of the areas that you mentioned, including that one, were part of that discussion. And our homework is to come up with some ideas. And I don't know if the plan was to present that to y'all or to the chamber board or whoever, but I can put those ideas together, put together some cost to what it costs to put some initial landscaping and then the long-term maintenance ramifications of that too, and the costs that are involved there. I mean, I can put together some information on that.
Great. Councilman Alexander said he'd donate 2 bodock trees if we need them.
Donate a whole chicken, left and right leg.
Who else has other business?
I have one other question. I guess it's Zach's night. Those crosswalk signs that we have up in the heart of town, I've noticed they've been hit several times. Can we not just have those poles that's on the side and take those things up?
Yeah, man down is what we call it, and I get that call about once a day.
Yeah, I see them because it's too congested already up there, and we do have those poles on the side. That should be sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, and Nick might want to add to this, but the reason though that they're in the center like that is there's a lot of different site obstructions up there, and a lot of people in the downtown area, especially that work there, have been really concerned about vehicular traffic in the past, about people not slowing down for those crossings, and that's the most conspicuous way for people to see that it is a crosswalk now. It is a maintenance nightmare, but it is, I mean, you know it's there.
There's nothing
so,
there, spread them out, move them down by the furniture store a little bit, but right up in the heart of town where we got all that shrubbery and stuff, it's already congested.
Right.
It looks bad when you ride through there and they're laying down in the street, left and right, every other day.
Nick, you can say something.
We have experimented with some different kinds of men to get them to last a little bit longer, but they do take
If you take
hits.
them
and I
up,
think
they'll last longer.
I think a few people have made them targets. Is part of the issue too.
The mayor has an excellent idea. She's waiting on Mr. Tuttle to figure out a way to make it happen.
Go ahead, Mr. Tuttle.
Sure. As Zach has already explained, we want to be sure that that area is very visible for those pedestrians to feel safe. We've actually had people, you know, they continue to ask us to do more, and along those lines, the mayor has suggested something that she has seen in some different areas, and we actually have seen this over in White House. They have a greenway trail that has some small lights that light up along the front edge of the crosswalks. It's something that's on our to-do list to try to get a price on that and see if that's something that we would be willing to do. Hopefully that's something that requires less maintenance, but there is going to be an installation cost up front. But just to remove the signs in the middle and not really do anything to continue to beef up that, I think that would be a mistake for us to lessen the safety value that we have there with those signs. I know the signs they're a maintenance hassle and nightmare, but
you have the big tall poles on each side.
We do.
Did you not put some kind of light on them?
We
Flashing
could.
light or something?
There are some options there to light that up. The idea is just to try to get as much notice and be in the face of the vehicles as much as possible. And the one thing that the sign in the middle of the road does offer as well is it does make people naturally slow down a bit because it's a little bit tighter to squeeze through there. And so not only are they're paying a little bit more attention of pedestrians that may be there, but they are slowing down some. So there's a little bit of a traffic calming. So
they're slowing down as they run over them. Yeah.
It's true. And I know we laugh and joke about it, but I feel like it's a price to me that I'm willing to pay, that I know it's a hassle, and Zach's talked to me about it. But you know, I think there are some options. I agree with the mayor's idea. I do want to try to look at that to see if that is a financially viable option to go in and try to put some more lighting up there, because I think that would be an eye catcher that could really draw some attention to, just like the signs are.
Okay. It actually, the way this lighted crosswalk works, it only lights up when someone steps in to begin to cross the crosswalk, and the lights run back and forth across the pavement to really, they don't light up unless someone is crossing. So it's not something that people become,
Numb to.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it noticeable in the daytime?
Yeah, yeah, they're very bright and they run back and forth across the pavement.
It's
So,
it's a bright LED type of a light.
It would look a lot more neater than
Thanks,
sober
Nick.
down.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Nick.
anyone else with other business this evening? Okay, let's move on now to public recognition on non-agenda related items. Like we did at the beginning of the meeting, Mr. Henschel will go through the meeting attendees and those who are on the phone and see if anyone would like to make any comment on an item that is not on the agenda. So Mr. Henschel, I'll turn it over to you.
Very good. We'll start with the phone number ending in 435. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, Charles Brinkley at 155 Alpha Drive in Gallatin here. I would just like to see if the mayor and the council people think about this COVID-19 situation. Is Gallatin doing enough to stay in good physical shape? Look like the budget is in good financial shape. I'm just worried about our people, physically speaking. This social distance is 6 feet, and I know we're supposed to wear a mask, and are we following our directive being, is the directive being enforced enough in Gallatin? I see where the state of Tennessee received an F in that grade as for social distancing, and I'm just wondering if Sumner County, by my observance, it does not seem like that we are doing it as a people to keep this virus decreasing. We have over 100,000 people that's affected by it in the United States. Now, we in Sumner County doing enough? I just want to, if the mayor, I don't know how much, what power or whatever you have. Do you think that it's being enforced enough? Do you see people wearing their masks like they should and staying the distances? What?
Mr. Brinkley, we are under the purview of the state. So what the state health department says we do is what we are to follow. And the governor's orders have been, I don't know, gentle, if you will, lots of suggestions and very little means for cities and counties to actually enforce. We have enforced when some things were closed, some things were open that were not supposed to be open. We have done some, and actually then it wasn't even like we didn't arrest anybody. The police just went and talked to the people and explained what the orders were. But as far as enforcing how we are enforcing groups, certainly in our parks, but as far as enforcing social distancing and mask wearing and those kinds of things, we have no authority to do that. I think our residents, we really have to lean on them to make good decisions and, to support businesses who are taking proper precautions to keep their employees and their customers safe. And for each of us to continually remind those around us what safe behavior is and what is not. I was actually going to look up the numbers so I could share with you because I didn't do that this meeting.
I just wonder, what level of risk are we taking when we're not in compliance? Do you personally think we're in compliance by your observation? By,
I
you
think
see people?
some individuals are and some are not. And when it's just suggestions, it's hard to say compliant.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are doing going to extreme measures to keep themselves and others safe. I think other people are not. But as I've said on a lot of occasions during this, realize that there are two extremes. There are people who are very, very fearful, and there are people who think that all that we are doing is totally ridiculous. And so we have to understand that we're dealing with both sets of people. Most of us are probably somewhere in the middle, but everybody's got to take the precautions that they need to for their specific situation, and you know, don't go out and don't expose yourself if you feel like you would have a poor outcome if you were to get the virus.
Mr. Brinkley, Mr.
Yes.
Brinkley.
Yes, sir.
Sean Fennell, I know you've been to my business a couple of times. One thing that I could say, I think we probably have 100, 200 people maybe on an average a day that's in and out of my business. And I don't really notice much of the mask wearing, but I think pretty much all the people try to social distance. And I see so many people that stand off and spread out, and I feel that that has actually helped and worked, but I don't see many people wearing a mask.
I don't either, and I don't know if one person should wear it, all should wear it or not. And Mayor, do you think no mask, no services in some of these places is being opening up?
I mean, that's up to that business. That is.
Oh,
not,
it is. That's who make those guidelines. That business person. Oh.
Yeah, we do
Yeah,
not.
Something that.
I see more people without masks now than before.
Yes.
So they're just taking them off now, and there's no enforcement that we can really do as a city to make a person wear a mask. I wish they would, but we just trusting and hoping that they would do the right thing and protect not only themselves but the city as well. But they're not doing it.
And it's a great opportunity to remind people that the city is giving away masks. We have lots through our Gallatin Department of Electricity drive-through and through our City Hall drive-through. Thank you, Ms. Kittrell and your folks. Wanted to give you, I'll go ahead and share the numbers with you for today here in Sumner County. We have had 768 cases today, 41 deaths, 6,358 people have tested negative. So that's a pretty small percentage of patients that have been tested that actually had positive tests. We are having just single digit increases every day. A couple of days we only had like 2 or 3, and we've had 4, 5, 6. But I think that we're on a good path if we keep those day-to-day increases in the single digits as far as numbers go.
Mayor, do you think everybody should get tested regardless of your symptoms?
Okay, I am not a medical professional, Mr.
I know it.
No, I mean, me personally, no. I mean, I think the antibody testing will be more beneficial when that comes on board. But I don't. I mean, the testing, I think the people who are volunteering to be tested with or without symptoms, I think has been good because it's helped them kind of discover meaning the state, kind of identify how many people might be carrying it and be asymptomatic. But no, I don't really see the benefit in that.
Okay.
You know, for an individual.
Well, appreciate
I should specify.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Javance.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Jim, I see you coughing. You okay? Oh, okay. Can't hear you, Jimmy. Yeah, a few sessions ago, Steve made a nice comment on when my neighbor Frank complained about the noise in Liberty Creek. So I tried to take his advice when he said that, workers should work more so they can finish faster and they're not going to bother us with the noise. So I went to talk to the worker, and when they were leaving in the evening, I asked them if they could keep going for 24 hours so they finish faster. And they look at me like bizarre. And at one point, the guy said, "We need to sleep." And I say, "Yeah, welcome to my world. We need to sleep too." So that was a great advice, but didn't work. So we're ready for if you have more advice for us. And I want to thank the chief for what he's doing for us. Make sure these guys are reactive and doing everything he can to help us. So again, thank Chief. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you. You do as well.
Okay. Moving on, phone number ending in 718. Phone number ending in 240. Your mic is open.
Yes, hi, this is Frank Marchese, Harris Lane. I just want to ask Mr. Stewart what's actually been done to be preventative on Liberty Creek. As you can see, it's 7:15 and they are still working again currently. Today there are compressors running over there or something, a pump or something. I don't want to go over there and find out what they're doing. I don't, it's not my place to do that, but I would like to know what preventative measures are being taken to stop this. And I agree with Mr. Provence that, the efforts by the police department are greatly appreciated, Mayor and Chief. You know that I've spoken to you about that. I want to know what's being done so it doesn't get to that point, besides putting up a sign that says you can't work.
Mr. Marchese, Chuck Stewart. There's not a lot you can do unless you leave someone out there all day long. And quite frankly, we don't have the personnel to do something like that. We can speak to them. We can ask them about the signs. We can ask the superintendent to monitor his projects. But those projects and other projects around town, the superintendents don't stay there all day long. They go home early afternoon after they get their 8 hours in. The only thing I know to do is for Chief Bandy to keep sending patrols by. If they're there, write them a ticket. But the $50 tickets don't seem to be working.
No, and I understand it, Mr. Stewart, but normal business hours are not when we need somebody there. We need somebody there prior to and after, when the ordinance says they shouldn't be working. Maybe that's the key to someone from codes going over and talking to them, or during the business day talking to the developer and the real estate office. There are other people than construction workers there, as there are now. There are that real estate office. They're showing houses, and there's nothing wrong with this point, that they're showing houses at 6 o'clock at night. But there are people there.
Yes, I understand that, but as I'm saying here, we can go there every day and tell them the same thing, and it doesn't seem to be getting through to them. I have no authority to put a stop work order on that project. All I can do by law is keep telling them, you can't do this. To enforce noise ordinance is not a function of the building department. That's why the ordinance were written, so the police department can monitor all of our ordinances. We can't stop someone from speeding down your street, nor can we stop them from working. They have to be ticketed for that.
Can I say something? This has been going on for months and months. Every week he comes and complains to us. Is there a legal way that we can shut that project down for a few days at least?
Not one that I'm aware of, Ms. Love. The company sold out. They have a new company there under the same name with a new superintendent on. We thought we were making some headway out there. They sold out and they have a new person on the job. So here we go again with the same thing.
Ms. Macaulay, any thoughts?
I would agree with Mr. Stewart that legally there's not much that we can do. I can get with Chuck tomorrow and we can brainstorm over some possible solutions. But at this time, we're doing what we can legally do.
Ms. Hawker, is there any way at this point that we could change the penalty fee?
No, there's not. That's set by the state.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess when I'm done, Chief, when I'm done here, I'll be reporting them again. So just to make you aware.
Well, Don Davie Police Department, we're sending somebody out there right now. We'll issue another citation. That's all we can do. It goes in front of Judge Kissel. That's what we can do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. And the last number ending in 314, your mic is open. Okay, that's everyone.
All right. With that, with the public recognition on non-agenda related items concluded, that brings us to the end of our meeting. And since we're at the end of our agenda, we may adjourn, and I can wish you all a lovely evening. And thank you all who have joined us through our various channels. We're getting a little smoother on this whole Zoom thing. So thanks for bearing with us through our occasional technical difficulties, and everybody have a great night, and we will see you again. Good night.
Thanks, Mayor.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank y'all.
Have a good week.
You see on the funny papers.